After confessing my feelings to Ethan, my family's longtime friend and uncle figure, he introduced me to a wheelchair-bound woman named Emily, his future partner. Ethan explained Emily had sacrificed her legs and dreams saving him, thus binding him to responsibility. I couldn't comprehend, must life debts demand matrimony? He offered no answer. In my past life, I'd stubbornly believed in Ethan's affection, pushing boundaries until witnessing his indifference as his rival shattered my fingers. My screams drew no flicker from him. That coldness killed my heart. Crippled from surgery, I later succumbed to depression and slit my wrists. Reborn at 21. Moments before repeating my confession, I wore Ethan's extravagant custom gown in Beijing's finest hotel. Friends gathered expecting romance. Ethan had been my constant since childhood. My Doctors Without Borders parents perpetually absent. Our circle saw me as his destined bride. When Ethan's frown signaled impending rejection, I preempted him, Uncle Ethan. I finalized my year-long research project last week. Let's celebrate that instead. His stunned silence met my friend's hastily hiding "Say Yes" banners. Later, smoke curling from his engraved lighter, Ethan's friend joked in the hallway, with this spectacle. I thought Lily was confessing. The flame danced as Ethan remained silent, the truth flickering like his unreachable heart. Ethan closed his eyes with a faint smile. Don't overanalyze a young girl's feelings. My care for Lily stems purely from our family's long-standing friendship. His friend scoffed. You're the oblivious one here. We've all seen how you look at her. If you're so detached, why'd you threaten that boy who confessed to Lily years ago? Even posed as her boyfriend. Ethan fell silent. I stopped listening, retreating into shadows. This mirrored my past life. His affection always crossed boundaries he refused to acknowledge. Returning home, I submitted my Medicine Sans Frontieres application. After losing both parents in war zones, continuing their mission became my purpose. My previous life ended before I could begin. Now, fate granted me redemption. Circling the deployment date on my calendar, I noticed it coincided with Ethan's birthday. 3 sharp knocks interrupted. Ethan entered as usual, followed by a wheelchair-bound girl in white, pale and fragile as winter frost. She embodied tragic beauty. Lily, come here, Ethan commanded. I remained motionless, recognizing Emily instantly. Even without my past confession, destiny forced this confrontation. Lily. Ethan's voice tightened. Emily lowered her gaze. It's all right if Miss Brown dislikes me. I'll return to the countryside villa. A cripple belongs anywhere. Her tearful resilience made Ethan's disapproval sharper. You'll meet your new aunt properly. Emily saved me during the earthquake 3 years ago. If you want to stay here, control your temper. I bit back arguments. My obsession had warped everything. For years, I demanded Ethan's undivided attention, ruthlessly eliminating romantic rivals until he became my exclusive sanctuary. His every indulgence and exception were mine alone. Now, history's wheel turned relentlessly. So in my previous life, when Ethan decided to marry Emily, I completely shattered. Does saving someone's life always have to mean marrying them? I agonized over this for what felt like eternity. Even after sacrificing everything, I still couldn't comprehend it. Now I realize some things are simply beyond understanding. Emily was moving into the room adjacent to Ethan's, the space that used to be mine. Back when Ethan first brought me here, he'd secretly consulted his friends for advice, then personally designed blueprints to renovate the entire suite into a fairy tale princess room with soft pink walls. He filled it with limited edition dolls lining my bed frame, treating me like royalty since childhood. My only wish is for Lily to grow up healthy and happy, he'd often say. Those warm caramel eyes brimming with tenderness that made my heart stutter. Yet he remained emotionally detached through it all. Leaning against the doorframe now, Ethan's gaze turned glacial. The ground floor guest room is ready. You'll stay there temporarily. I silently folded clothes into my suitcase, my hand instinctively reaching for the bedside doll collection before freezing midair. Leave them. I'll bring the dolls down later, he offered. I forced a smile, fingers tightening around the luggage handle. Don't bother. Give them to Emily. If I could abandon Ethan himself. What were mere dolls? What once symbolized devotion now meant nothing. Are you still angry with me? His voice carried winter's edge. Why would I be upset? I countered. You've found someone worth protecting. Shouldn't I celebrate that? The muscle in his jaw twitched as words failed him. Outside my door, Emily waited with venomous triumph in her eyes, that same hypocritical act from our past life where she'd play the wounded fawn while orchestrating disasters. Her crocodile tears always won sympathy. How terribly inconvenient for you, Miss Brown. She simpered. If not for my condition, Ethan would never. When I tried to pass, she suddenly grabbed my wrist, instinctively shaking free. I watched in horror as her wheelchair careened downstairs, her screams summoning household staff. Ethan! Save me! He came barreling out, shoving me aside to stabilize the tumbling wheelchair. Frozen in shock, I croaked. It wasn't me. Cradling a trembling Emily who clung to him like a shipwreck survivor, Ethan turned volcanic. Have you lost your mind, Lily? This could have been manslaughter. The staff averted their eyes as Emily buried her face in his shirt. The perfect portrait of fragility, but I caught the smirk she threw me when he looked away. I bit my lower lip, tears stinging my eyes. I didn't. I choked out. She grabbed my hand first. I just shook her off. Emily sniffled dramatically. It's my fault, Ethan. Don't blame Lily. Stop covering for Lily, Ethan said coldly, his gaze piercing. I know her tricks. Every woman who's ever gotten close to me these past years has been driven away by her schemes. A bitter laugh escaped me. So you don't trust me? My vision blurred with unshed tears. Have you given me reason to? He countered. Of course not. I gripped my suitcase tighter. Only perfect Emily deserves your faith. As I turned to leave, Ethan nodded to the staff. 2 servants blocked the doorway. Apologize, he demanded. Or what? I challenged, throat tightening. I'd imagined this confrontation countless times. Yet nothing prepared me for the searing pain of his betrayal. You know I always get what I want. His frosty tone made the staff advance. I barked a humorless laugh, bending at the waist toward Emily. My deepest apologies for defending myself when you assaulted me. How careless of me to exist near your wheelchair. The room fell silent. Straightening, I met Ethan's stormy gaze. Satisfied? Should I kneel too? When he remained silent, I dragged my suitcase downstairs. Housekeeper Chin intercepted me. Ethan's just stressed today. You know how much he cares, I smiled sadly. The same peacemaker, repeating the same empty reassurances. But we both knew this bridge was burned. Tell Ethan, tell him thank you. For everything. My voice broke. I won't trouble him again. Later that night, Ethan reviewed the security footage. His jaw tightened seeing Emily initiate the confrontation. Housekeeper Chin hovered anxiously. She's crossed lines before, but never like this. Chin murmured. Ethan massaged his temples. The unspoken truth hung heavy. He owed Emily a life debt. As long as she didn't physically harm Lily, he'd tolerate her games. But watching Lily walk away tonight felt disturbingly final. I told you Lily would never hurt anyone, Auntie Chin said indignantly. Ethan rubbed his temples. Make something Lily likes tonight. But Lily has already left. Ethan froze. What? Lily asked me to tell you she appreciates your past care, but won't bother you anymore. Auntie Chen's tone dripped with sarcasm. Ethan sighed wearily. Lily's always been this stubborn, can't tolerate the slightest grievance. After dismissing Auntie Chen, he called Lily repeatedly. When she didn't answer, he slammed his phone on the desk. This agitation had plagued him since that day 2 weeks ago when he'd expected Lily's confession. Her calm gaze and detached tone made him feel control slipping away. Now, truth hovered like storm clouds. I wasn't surprised Ethan found me. 7 days before my internship, I'd returned home after leaving the villa. There he stood beyond my gate, cigarette glowing between his fingers, brow furrowed. Off work? I nodded curtly when returning from the hospital. The silence thickened, him waiting for words I wouldn't give. Emily's call shattered the stalemate. Ethan. I dreamed about the earthquake. Could you come? Her fragile voice carried through the speaker. He glanced at me reflexively. Nightfall stretched our shadows like accusations. I'll come now, he finally said. When he reached for my hand, I recoiled. Confusion flickered across his face. He'd forgotten our past closeness stemmed from my mistaken affection. You have Emily now, Uncle. Boundaries matter. He scoffed, shoving hands into pockets. I'll wait until you accept us before proposing. Consider this an adjustment period. I stayed silent. From the moment Emily appeared in what felt like a past life, civil conversation with Ethan had died. Every encounter became warfare, him condemning my shameless crush, accusing me of confusing familial love with romance. Though he pushed relentlessly, I charged forward like some love-struck fortress, enduring every vicious word until my spirit bled. My friends, his friends, they all tried to convince me Ethan doesn't like you. Why won't you believe it? He's in love with Emily. Every time, I'd sob and insist that wasn't true. That Ethan loved me. On my 18th birthday when he thought I was asleep, he kissed me secretly. He promised to marry me after I turned 22. I clung to the belief that Ethan only wanted to marry Emily out of gratitude until that fateful night. When the Xiao family tried to take me from the bar, people I'd never interacted with, I couldn't understand why. Then second Xiao spat out that old Xiao had died from a brain hemorrhage. Suddenly it made sense. Ethan had warned me about the Xiao's shady dealings, telling me to stay away. He never mentioned they'd sincerely sought my surgical expertise before. I gripped Ethan's sleeve desperately, knuckles whitening. Let go, he said icily, watching impassively as they dragged me away, snapping my fingers one by one to the soundtrack of my screams. He didn't even flinch. That's when I knew he never loved me. What are you thinking about? Ethan's voice snapped me back. You've made your point these past weeks. What happened, we'll consider it resolved. Lily, you're not a child anymore. He opened the passenger door. Waiting. I stood rooted, forcing a bitter smile. I ached to ask the Ethan from my past life, how could he watch me wither from heartbreak? Die depressed? Even if he didn't love me, I was still the niece he'd raised. You were right, Uncle. My voice surprised me with its steadiness. I've chased off every woman near you with petty schemes. For Emily's safety, I shouldn't return. Lily, you know I love you, don't you? The words I'd never hidden hung between us. His pupils constricted. Lily, conflict twisted his features. Don't worry, Uncle. I've grown up. My smile felt like cracked porcelain. Mistook familial affection for romance all these years, made quite the fool of myself. Time to end this charade. Ethan stood frozen, as though I'd spoken another language. His phone's insistent ringing pierced the night, but he remained motionless. Lips parted in uncharacteristic speechlessness. I turned and walked away, taking 2 steps back. Ethan watched Lily's retreating figure fade into the distance, an unfamiliar emptiness gripping him. His fingers automatically found the cigarette pack in his pocket, lighting another with practiced ease. The sharp inhale cleared his fogged mind. His gaze drifted upward to the illuminated second-floor window where Lily's silhouette moved behind the curtains. 3 years ago, On her 18th birthday, everything changed. Drunk and reckless, he'd stumbled into her bedroom, watching the sleeping girl with blurred vision. In that intoxicated moment, he'd crossed the line no guardian should ever cross, pressing his lips to hers. She'd smiled in her sleep, mistaking it for sweet dreams. The Johnsons and Browns went back generations. 7 years her senior, Ethan had always tolerated Lily's childhood infatuation while cautioning her against confusing familial bonds with romance. Attachment isn't love, he'd repeat, convincing himself as much as her. Letting her play at being his child bride served dual purposes, warding off unwanted suitors and keeping tabloid vultures at bay. But when similar arrangements among acquaintances turned toxic, cold reality struck. Some lines, once crossed, could never be redrawn. Better to end things before they began. The morning after her birthday, he fled to Hong Kong on sudden business. The earthquake changed everything. Trapped in rubble, he emerged alive thanks to Emily, a dancer who sacrificed her legs and career to drag him to safety. Guilt bound him tighter than any obligation. Supporting her financially proved easy, hiding their arrangement from Lily became his true challenge. Bringing Emily to New York now served two purposes: fulfilling his promise of marriage and preempting Lily's impending confession. Let her see the futility of chasing ghosts. Yet now that she'd finally retreated, the victory tasted like ashes. Ethan found Emily waiting in the parlor, her thin dress inadequate against the winter chill. "Why wait here?" His frown deepened at her trembling hands. "I called repeatedly," Emily whispered, eyes downcast on her silent phone. "I was worried." Ethan settled across from her, gaze unyielding as granite. "Lily's been mine to protect since childhood. Every stubborn streak, every willful impulse, I cultivated them all. You knew this when you chose to stay." His voice hardened. "I owe you my life. Demand any price but this, you don't touch Lily." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. "You think I'd harm her? Security cameras don't lie." The words hung frozen between them as he ascended the stairs, not to his quarters, but to the bedroom where Lily's ghost lingered in every untouched object. After Emily moved in, everything in Ethan's room changed. The dolls Ethan had cherished were packed away, and the cute decorations were replaced with minimalist ornaments. "Mrs. Chin," Ethan summoned. The housekeeper hurried in to find him seated at the desk. "Yes, Mr. Johnson?" As he started speaking, his gaze caught the calendar wedged between desk drawers. He picked it up, fingers pausing on the circled date 28th. Mrs. Chin peered over his shoulder. "Isn't that your birthday? I knew Lily couldn't stay angry with you." A faint smile tugged Ethan's lips as he thumbed the marked page. After prolonged silence, he replaced the calendar. "Renovate the downstairs guest suite," he ordered, voice lighter. "Emily will move there. Restore this room exactly as Lily left it. I'll bring her home this weekend." Mrs. Chin nodded, unaware of Emily paling in the doorway. 5 days before my residency started, Emily came to the hospital. The fragile beauty in the wheelchair glared openly. "Lily," she spat when I filed my charts. "Ethan and I are getting engaged. Stop clinging to him like some home-wrecking parasite. Is this how your family raises gold diggers?" My pen stilled. "Watch your tongue." "Miss Smith. You first." Her composure cracked. "Everyone knows you're obsessed with him. Moving out was just your pathetic ploy to play hard to get. Ethan will never love his own niece." I snorted. Last life, we'd clawed each other bloody over Ethan's indifference. Now, my detachment hooked him worse than any scheme. Daily texts about my untouched room. Custom afternoon teas. But love? Please. Security cameras saw everything when Emily bullied me. His silence sanctioned it. This sudden attention? Mere withdrawal symptoms. The longer I stayed quiet, the tighter his leash yanked. I said, "There's no way I could like him anymore." "Emily, Emily froze, her agitated emotions gradually calming. What did you say? I admit Ethan used to be wonderful. Since childhood, he'd always stand up for me when I was wronged. He hated seeing me cry or get upset. Aside from my parents, he treated me better than anyone in this world. Falling for him felt inevitable. But that day when he forced me to apologize to you despite seeing my tears, that's when I stopped caring. Emily blinked red-rimmed eyes, looking lost. Just because of that? I nodded. Just that. If someone I love could bear to watch me cry or suffer, they don't deserve my affection. Before leaving, Emily asked one last time, nothing Ethan does could make you love him again? Yes. I confirmed. Even if he died for me, it wouldn't change. The night before my flight, Ethan texted as I prepared to board, frowny face, I'll pick you up later. I didn't reply. His typing status lingered until his call finally came through. His voice sounded light, almost cheerful. Lily, there might be traffic, but I'm coming to get you. Airport announcements blared as car horns honked through the phone. His breath hitched. Lily, you're at the airport? Yes. Why? Business trip? Why didn't you tell Uncle Ethan? My flat tone silenced him. I'm following my parents' path now. Not sure when I'll return. Thank you for everything these years. After Rebirth, I'd considered revenge, making Ethan experience broken fingers pain, dragging all my tormentors to hell. But life's too long to chain myself to hatred. Ethan's past kindness was real. We're even now. No love. No hate. Why? His strained voice returned after long silence. Why so sudden? When I stayed quiet. He rushed, if this is about Emily, I'll send her away. Just don't, car horns screeched through his desperation. Wait for me. I'm almost there. Too late. My soft laugh ended the call. As my phone powered off, the dark cloud weighing on my heart finally lifted. Freedom. Everything came to an end. Ethan stared at the disconnected call, redialing incessantly until only the cold automated voice remained. Lily had powered off her phone. At this moment, clarity struck him sharper than ever. Lily truly didn't want him anymore. When this realization hit, he slammed his fist against the steering wheel, violently loosening his tie. His chest ached with suffocating pain, each ragged breath offering no relief. As he reached to call his assistant about Lily's flight details, Emily's call interrupted. Her voice carried heavy sobs, pleading with him not to send her away. These past days had brought brutal enlightenment. Gratitude for saving a life didn't demand lifelong commitment. He could grant Emily financial security, fulfill every material desire, but never his heart. Only now, with Lily gone, did he grasp how completely she claimed it. That vibrant woman who laughed, cried, and bickered with him. He'd lectured her about confusing familial affection with romance, yet spent over a decade drowning in unrecognized love. Urgency burned through him. He needed to find Lily, confess his love, beg forgiveness. After securing her flight information, Ethan booked the next plane ticket. Racing toward the airport, his car collided with a truck. He awoke a week later to Emily's nervous gaze. Ethan? Are you in pain? She quavered. Ignoring her, he checked his phone. Lily's chat remained silent since the crash. His laugh turned bitter, eyes hollow. The coma had brought torturous visions. He dreamt of Lily confessing her feelings, only for him to parade Emily as your future aunt. Saw Lily's desperate bar fights. Her fingers snapped while he coldly watched, bound by foolish promises to abandon her. Watched her surrender medicine after failing to save patients. Wrists scarred from self-harm. The girl who'd vowed, I'll become the greatest surgeon, now broken by his betrayal. When Lily first attempted suicide, regret gutted him. Yet he knew, some fractures never heal. Their story had ended the moment he chose duty over love. long before metal screeched and glass shattered on that damned highway. I'm unable to answer that question. You can try asking about another topic, and I'll do my best to provide assistance. There's no point dwelling on it anymore. Is there? I've moved on with my life. And so will Ethan eventually. We'll just exist in separate orbits now. Uncle Ethan, I said firmly. People have to keep moving forward. The last flicker of hope in his eyes died the moment those words left my lips. Lily, his bitter chuckle dissolved into a hoarse whisper. I'm sorry. Goodbye, Uncle Ethan. I turned away before he could see my resolve waver. Behind me, I heard the familiar rustle of his cigarette case. His hands trembled as he struggled to light one, the wind snuffing out his lighter again and again. Sand whipped across the military outpost, stinging his eyes until tears carved trails through the dust on his face. Maybe if he'd fought for me back then, if he'd risked everything just once, we wouldn't be here now. But second chances don't come to cowards. When I returned to my dorm, I found myself drawn to the balcony. Our eyes met across the courtyard where he stood frozen. I gave him a calm, distant smile before gathering my laundry and shutting the glass door with finality. That's when he understood. I'd already erased him from my heart's directory. The metallic taste flooded his mouth before the crimson splatter hit the pavement. Campus security found him collapsed beneath my window hours later. 3 years passed before Ethan's name resurfaced in my life. Stage 4 lung cancer. The email said. His final request? To see me one last time. I declined, citing back-to-back surgeries. He left you everything? My friend blurted during lunch, eyes red-rimmed. All his assets. The family holdings, everything's in your name now. How did you two even? I shrugged, stirring my iced tea. There'd been a time I'd agonized over that same question. Now, the answer seemed irrelevant. We're all dealt different hands. His happened to be a losing one.